Laser sights increase confidence regardless of experience level, whether you're learning the fundamentals or overcoming aging eyes. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Visit crimsontrace.com to find a dealer near you.
Hey y'all, it's Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. Oh, look out, we smoking.
Indeed we are. Tom Gresham here. It's Gun Talk, 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun, because, well, that's what we do around here. We talk about guns and shooting and cool stuff and accessories and ammo and optics and pretty much anything that has to do with guns, from the accessory side to the shooting side to the safety side. And, yeah, we'll talk politics as well. By the way, happy Veterans Day, and it's a special day. It is a pleasure to bring in one of our good friends from one of the great companies in the firearms industry, Brownells. I talk about them all the time. Ryan Repp joins us right now with an announcement. Ryan, you guys have a great program going here. By the way, welcome and happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day to you and all the listeners who have served, Tom. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We had a really cool announcement.
So you got this Operation 100K. Explain what this is and how it came about.
Yeah, so, we were really looking for, something we could do to show veterans and the Second Amendment community that Brownells really wants to help out. And so we kind of dreamed up this thing called Operation 100K, which our goal is to solicit $100,000 in customer donations over the month of November, and then Brownells will match up to $100,000. We've got 3 great charities.
That's very cool. And it is brownells.com/Operation 100K, 100K, and you're going to match the 100K?
Yes, yeah. If our customers can donate 100K, they can do that by calling in, adding a few bucks to their order, or just going to that webpage that you mentioned. You can just donate directly there. But if they can get up to 100K, then we'll match that to $100,000, and they'll go to 3 different really great charities, military charities. Which charities? So the charities we're working with are Mission 22, which of course tries to prevent veteran suicide, and Special Operations Wounded Warriors, which helps Purple Heart recipients of the U.S. Special Operations community kind of adjust back to life. And then the last one was Folds of Honor, which basically provides scholarships to disabled military member families, and then those who've unfortunately lost a loved one, trying to help out their families. So 3 really great charities, and all big time, 2A affiliated charities as well. All right, I just got an idea. It just came to me while you're talking there, and this may be dumb, but I'm going to try it anyway. You've got your website set up for donations. You can just click on the Donate Now. It's brownells.com, Operation 100K. And what I'm going to throw out an idea is people go on and donate $11 because it's 11/11. It's Veterans Day. $11 per. It's not a lot of money. It's like you can't even get 2 Big Macs and a drink for that. But that way you'll be able to see the Gun Talk folks who showed up and threw $11 into the hopper for our veterans to honor 11/11, November the 11th. So that's my take. Go to brownells.com/Operation 100K and throw $11 into the kitty. It's the least we can do. Ryan, this is a cool idea. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Well, how'd this thing come about? I mean, when you guys are having your conversations, describe the process. So, we have a veterans charity and that we usually support, and that's Special Operations Wounded Warriors. But we wanted to look and say, how do we support the broader community? And then we always do try to do something special and interesting in November as the holiday season wraps up. And we just thought, there's no better way than to put together a promotion that not only draws attention to what's happening at Brownells, but also helps the veteran community. So that's really how it started. Pretty simple, really. It's terrific. All right, so bring us up to speed now. I mean, we've been talking through the whole process of the last few years. You're building this new huge building. You're right there on the interstate in the middle of Iowa, which is in the middle of the country. You got this thing up and running, and can people stop in and see what you have? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the retail store is open 7 days a week now. It's just right at the 182 exit. It's about an hour east of Des Moines, right on Interstate 80. It's open 7 days a week. Absolutely beautiful building. One of the only places, I think it is the only place in the world that you can buy almost any firearm you could imagine and customize it with almost any part that you could imagine. And so, you can order right out of the warehouse too. So.
Okay, well, this may be a really dumb idea. Could you you could buy your gun and then buy your parts, and you could add all the parts together right there?
Yeah. I mean, we don't do gunsmithing in-house because we obviously support gunsmiths. But even if you need help attaching a light to a rail, or if you need help just doing basic things,
right,
our staff can certainly help with that. But yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. That's really good. And you're right there on I-80, just too long down the road, pull off at Brownells. I would just give people a fair warning. Here's the deal. You might want to put a timer on, because once you get there, you're not going to want to leave. And it's kind of like when I go into Cabela's, you just give them the card and say, just let me know when it's maxed out, if you would, please.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's been pretty neat. I stopped down there because it's attached right to headquarters. So I stopped down there from time to time and talk to people from literally all over the country, people who reroute their trips to go by, and it's easy to do on I-80. It goes coast to coast.
Right.
People, and the feedback is always really, really good. The store is a really cool place. It's quite different from I guess, the average gun store. So, yeah, if you're making a trip by, definitely stop in and say hello to our folks.
So, all right, let's go a little bit political. We just had a change in the House. People have been sitting there for the last 2 years thinking everything's good, everything's cool, we have no worries. And all of a sudden we've got Nancy Pelosi and all of the, it seems like all the Democratic leadership saying we are going to assault gun owners. We're going to try to pass the most repressive gun control laws we can pass. And I know you guys crystal ball this stuff because you're pretty smart. As you look at this, do you foresee people waking up and maybe starting to buy more stuff again?
I don't know. I mean, our sales have continued to be pretty strong. I think that's certainly scary that the Dems are going to have the House, but I'm thankful that the Supreme Court is in our favor, and I'm thankful that the Senate remains in our favor. I was just hypothesizing about this with some friends. I think what'll be interesting is to see what happens with suppressor sales. I know the HPA stuff really, it probably doesn't look good at this point.
No, I think it's gone.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a call with Knox Williams over at the ASA this week and kind of figure out what's going on with that. But I'm not sure what that'll look like in that market. But at least we still have some branches of government in our favor. That's positive.
Well, let's talk about it. It's interesting. The Hearing Protection Act, which was going to remove the $200 tax on suppressors and all of that. And all along, all the people making suppressors and the Suppressor Association kept telling people, don't wait. Go ahead. If you want a suppressor, go ahead and buy it. It occurs to me that maybe the reality will hit people now and go, well, I'm going to stop waiting for this thing because it's probably not going to happen. And I'm just going to go ahead and buy the stuff that I want anyway. And I should have, 2 or 3 years ago. And maybe people will wake up to the idea that, man, suppressors are cool. You know what I have been seeing, Ryan? Just to throw this out, and it really surprised me. I'm seeing a lot of people now hunting big game with suppressors on their rifles.
Oh, yeah. No, I think there's definitely been a suppressor revolution, I guess you could say. There's certainly a lot more people that show interest. I think what will be interesting to do is watch pricing as well. I think certainly suppressor sales had been down, and I think prices had come down. But it'll be interesting to see what happens now. As I think a lot of people will abandon that ideology that they're going to get around the $200. And it could be a case where suppressors start going again and the price goes back up again. So I was just talking about this with a buddy. I think I'm going to have to get a couple, and my buddy said, you know what, I think I'm going to get a couple and try to sneak in while the prices are good.
I like the way you think. I'm going to get mine in there before everybody else figures this out and the prices start going back up. That's a great idea.
Right.
Well, congratulations. It's a fabulous program. It's Brownells Operation 100K. They raise $100,000 for these veteran groups, and when we hit 100,000, Brownells will match that. Go to the website, brownells.com/Operation 100K. Ryan, thank you so much. It's a great program, man.
Thanks, Tom. Much appreciated. Take care.
All righty, you too. Yeah, and I'm just going to throw this out. Gun Talk listeners, here's what it is. I need $11. Not for me, for them. Because when it starts showing up on their page, when they say, recent donors, and they don't give your full name, they say like Kyle V and Daniel W, and they got $5 and $1 and all that. I want to see a whole bunch of $11 donations. It's November the 11th. It's 11/11. That's Veterans Day. In honor of Veterans Day, in honor of our veterans, let's throw $11 into the kitty. I think we can do this thing. Brownells.com/Operation100K, 100K. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. When we come back, we'll take your calls and comments. This is Gun Talk.
Brownells has gone retro. Check out Brownells' new line of retro AR-15 and AR-style 308 rifles at Brownells.com/retro. Whether you're looking for Eugene Stoner's original 308 design, the famous M16A1, Air Force 601, or the XM177 carbine, Brownells has the classic, new production, old-school rifle of your dreams. Own the firearm you used in basic training, carried in service, or that Grandpa always talks about. See more at Brownells.com/retro.
You got your carry permit, and that's good. But you could use more training. Get the DVDs, which have what you need. Springfield Armory presents Concealed Carry 1 and Concealed Carry 2 with Bata Group. Learn specific concealed carry skills from Top Gun fighting trainers. Get trained. Be prepared. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
Now at LibertySafe.com, you can buy a Liberty Safe at a great price and receive 12 months interest-free payments with 0 down and 0% APR, with some safes as low as $20 a month on approved credit. Peace of mind, lifetime warranty, and in-home delivery service. Go to LibertySafe.com now for 12 months interest-free payments with 0 down and 0% APR. LibertySafe.com.
Back to Gun Talk. Let's see. We're giving away stuff. We love to give away things. 6-hour giveaway going on this month. You can enter to win the M400 Tread prize package. That's their very cool AR-15 rifle that SIG has. Prize package, let's see, includes the M400 Tread rifle, Romeo red dot sight, and SIG 5.56 FMJ ammo. Go to guntalk.com/win, WIN, to enter for a chance to win the 6-hour giveaway. Cool rifle, cool package. Love that stuff. 866-TALK-GUN or just Tom Talk Gun. We'll get you in here. Line 1, Ray is with us out of the Bronx in New York. Hello, Ray. What's on your mind?
Well, Tom, I think we should take a half-glass full approach to the result of the election.
Okay.
And instead of the overall, Sun Tzu strategy, why don't we open up our copies of the Book of Five Rings and take a lesson from Musashi? Instead of trying to outplay Bloomberg's long game, Musashi would take the fight straight to them on the local level. Now, we have candidates who were blown out of the water screaming about gun control. And some that were hiding it, like Claire McCaskill. And you saw what happened there. And you saw what happened to that phony Hispanic candidate who's actually Irish down in Texas. Okay. So the thing is this. We have some hopefully nervous Democrats in very, very red districts in fairly red states. This is the time to approach them and say, you know what? You jump ship to the GOP. Forget about the money from the DNC. We'll back you to the wall. We'll keep you elected. You just have to play ball our way. Peel off about 6 or 7 And then at the same, and then you may not make a difference numerically, but you put the fear of God into them.
It's certainly worth a try. I'm willing to try anything. I am very concerned with the amount of money that's been pouring into these races. The billionaires from the tech side, the Paul Allens, obviously the Bloomberg, and people forget that that's all tech money. Bloomberg's money is tech money. And, when Bloomberg will drop $100 million into these races, when Paul Allen drops $1 million to just push one initiative, an anti-gun initiative in Washington State, as did a number of other billionaires there, it's really hard. Even with grassroots, even with boots on the ground, it's just hard to fight that if you don't have commensurate money. And I'm not sure where we're going to get that at this point. That's one of my big concerns. I'm not discounting what you're saying, Ray, and I think it's probably a smart move. But as I'm looking at this overall picture, it causes me a lot of concern right now.
Well, they think that liberty's for sale, and it's about time they learned it's not.
Well, that's a good line. I like that. I appreciate it. Thank you for the call, Ray. In fact, Alan Gottlieb, Second Amendment Foundation, was saying out in Washington State, he says, yeah, they bought the election. He says, but, we're going to go to court on it, and we're going to find out if they can buy the judges as well. Ooh, that's a good line, too. Line 3, Anthony's with us out of Ohio. Anthony, you're on Gun Talk. Range report. What you been shooting?
Well, Tom, I just bought my first Uberti. I did a lot of research on Uberti before I bought it, trying to see what all I could find out about it. Seemed to be a pretty good firearm.
What did you get? Which one?
1873 Cattleman, the El Patron model. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It has wolf springs in it, so it has better springs in the trigger. The hammer's better, and then also the hammer's a little bit lower, so you can get onto it a little bit easier. You don't have to stretch your hand up so far, especially if you have smaller hands. Took it out and shot it for the first time here just a couple weeks ago, and I'll tell you what, Tom, that is a doggone good little shooter. I just shoot one of those little trees that shoots a target side to the right side that I built a while back.
A dueling tree, yeah.
That gun shoots
now,
the other high-dollar guns.
Is it a 45 Colt?
No, it isn't. And, the reason I went with a small caliber, I went with 38, which is 357 as well. The reason I went with that is because I knew I was just going to buy it just to do some plinking.
Okay.
That's going to be the only thing that gun's for, and I knew that somewhere down the line I was going to buy a rifle as well, chambered in the same thing. That way it's cheap to shoot, don't have a bunch of recoil. If I ever do get into the cowboy action shooting, I can, afford to do it. So
nice.
Being I'm as happy with that Uberti as what I am, I already got the Uberti 20-inch octagon barrel 1873 ordered. It's on its way. So we'll see how that goes. But
you know what we call that, shooter. Anthony? We call that that's self-enabling. You are enabling yourself. You don't need any help from anybody.
Yeah, I do that a lot. The old lady don't care for that much, but yeah, it is definitely a good shooter. The only thing I will say about that gun is if somebody does buy it to get an exact replica of the Colts or what have you, it does not have the 4 clicks when you pull that hammer back.
Right.
Spelled COLT. It does not, and they also have some kind of goofy safety they built into that hammer as well, where that gun will not fire unless your finger is completely compressing that trigger throughout the entire cycle. So kind of goofy, maybe something to look into. Probably a pretty good idea, but it definitely does not have those 4 clicks. I wish I'd have known that before I bought it, but either way, it's a good shooter.
Well, there are, and if that's your entry to it, your gateway drug, you can always go out and buy yourself a Colt at some point if you want to. Yeah,
I will, probably at some point, but I cannot stress how accurate that gun is. I bought a Vertec Beretta here a while back. It's kind of a new line that they came out with. Started out with the Beretta 92G, which was done by Wilson Combat, and then Wilson's got this Vertec out now. And I shoot better with that 6-gun than I do with that high-dollar Wilson. Believe that.
I love it. That's a great range report, Anthony. I appreciate that so much. Uberti making good stuff. Italian-made firearms. I think that's very cool. Thank you, sir. I was thinking about that tomorrow. Tuesday, I'm sorry. I'm going to go to a friend of ours, a lady whose husband died recently, and she has his guns and wants to know what to do with them. And she needs some values, so I'm going to go over there and help out with that. It occurs to me that a lot of folks listening to this are kind of the go-to people. And you might just, if you want to help, you might want to let people know, look, if you need to get rid of guns, because there are, people, generally speaking, the man dies and the widow is left with these guns. And I don't know what to do with them. I don't want them in the house, but I don't want to get taken. And you can be the volunteer who goes over and says, I have a blue book of gun values. I can look these up for you. I will give you a list. I'll get you the range of values so that nobody comes in and said, oh, yeah, I'll give you $1,000 for these 27 guns. Really? Don't let her get taken. And here's the other thing. If you're going to do something like that, and if you say, wow, that's a gun I would really like, pay her the going rate, okay? Be upfront about it. Do right. Pay what it's worth. Look them up. Give them the numbers. But you can really help out somebody who needs help in a time of grief, in a time when they're vulnerable, and keep somebody. Because there have been, I've got to tell you, been a ton of times when people have gone in to women, particularly, and say, "Yeah, I'll help you with these guns," and they just kind of disappear, and they give them little or nothing. And don't be that guy. You can help out. Just thinking out loud, just kind of passing that along. It's something for you to consider. As we go forward here, and we've got several calls. Don't go anywhere. We're going to get to you. I'm just about on the break here. Yeah, that's a good point. Jim says, or Michelle says, a lot of times they'll give you a gun for helping out. Be honest. You got to figure out what do you want to do? Are you really helping that person? Is it a gun that you'd say, no, actually, I'd like to pay you for that, And if they say, no, I insist, well, I'll tell you what, then, I'll pay you half, but here's what it's worth, and I don't want it for free. You got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror when you go away. This is not horse trading with somebody who's another gun trader, and, you're saying, I got a good deal on this, and I beat somebody out of a deal. No, that's not what this is at all. You're there to help out, help somebody in the time of vulnerability. So we'll be doing that, let you know how that works out. You never know what you're going to find. You may find something that you like, and you may be able to, to buy it. Sometimes even a fair price is a good deal when you can't find them anywhere else. Have you ever helped anybody out like that? I'd love to get that report. 866-TALK-GUN. All right, I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk. We'll be right back with more of your range reports.
A girl can't go wrong with something in basic black, like an AR-15.
Some things never go out of style, like Tom Gresham's Gun Talk.
And we're back with you, 866-TALK-GUN, get you in. Got a picture texted to me yesterday from a buddy. Took his grandson out. Grandson got his first deer. His grandson is 8. Used a 260 Remington, and my buddy downloads it. Used a 120 grain Nosler Accubon bullet at 2,400 feet per second, which is probably 600, 800 feet per second slower than factory loads would be, but plenty for shooting a deer at inside of 200 yards. And I know some people say, 8 years old, that's way too young. Well, no, not really. If this youngster is safe in gun handling, and if this youngster has an adult standing or sitting right next to him and gets him on target and ensures safe gun handling, nothing wrong with that. Very cool. Got me to thinking. I was kind of having an online conversation with Ron Spomer, gun writer, hunting writer, good guy. He's been on the show here a number of times. And he's talking about comparing cartridges like the 270 and the 7mm08. And, the 7mm08 is an amazing cartridge. But what you end up with, when you do all this discussion back and forth and round and about, and you look at all of them, is honestly pick one. Just, there's no need to justify or rationalize or try to find the perfect one, because they're all very good. Spend your time and effort and money getting good optics, good rifle, good trigger. A good trigger is so critically important. Use good ammo, and then spend a lot of time becoming a better shot. Shoot a lot, certainly. Dry fire a ton. I would offer you should shoot somewhere between 10 and 100 dry fire shots for every live round you shoot. If you want to become a better shooter, handguns and rifles. It's amazing how much that helps. 866 Talk Gun. Line 2, Mark's with us out of Illinois. Mark, you're on Gun Talk.
Yeah, Tom, they were engaged in violence outside of Tucker Carlson's house the other day. After Trump fired McCabe, there was a guy on, I think it was MSNBC, calling for a revolution. We saw what happened with Ted Cruz, Candace Owens. Is the left paving the groundwork for some sort of mass-scale unrest here?
Oh, I think it's not paving the groundwork. I think they're there. I think we do have mass-scale unrest. I think you have Antifa. You have a willingness on the part of many on the left.
I'm talking about it being all over the country all at once.
I understand what you're saying. And, yeah, to a certain extent, most people are not going to do that. But you have a number of people who have given themselves permission to behave badly. And their group supports it, whatever their group is, and they've decided this is the way they're going to effect change. I wonder, to your point, I think, have they really thought this through of, let's see, who has the guns? If you really want to have a revolution, you got the left and the right. Who do you think has the guns?
More importantly, who knows how to use them?
Well, there's that. And I'm not saying we're going to get to that, and I would hope we never do that. That's the end of the country if we ever get to that point. But and I get your point. It's a weird time. And look, thank you for your call. I appreciate that, Mark. It's a weird time where the frustration of the left is so obvious. They're frustrated and they feel betrayed that Hillary was such a terrible candidate and she lost. They're frustrated and afraid because the man they laughed at and said had no path to victory. I love that phrase, no path to victory. Donald Trump won. Won handily. Now they're really frightened because their stopgap. They always had a backstop. Even if they couldn't get it passed in Congress, they always had the courts. They had the Supreme Court to backstop them and to change the law through interpretation. And they've lost their backstop, and that scares them more than anything else. Honestly, that's what scares them more than anything else. It's why you saw them lose their minds with the Kavanaugh hearing. And if there is another one, it will be worse. It will be unbelievable. At a certain point, you ask yourself, is there a point at which law enforcement will just simply step in and go, all you Antifa people, you're under arrest, get in the paddy wagon. Flex cuffs for everyone. We have lots of them. Put a stop to it. Put them in jail. And don't just do a catch and release, prosecute them. I don't know. Of course, have you noticed that generally that stuff happens in cities that are run by Democrats? Generally speaking, where the mayors are telling the cops what they can and can't do. Yeah, there's some places they don't want to pull that stunt. I guarantee you. Line 4, Steve's with us out of Pennsylvania. Steve, thank you for your patience. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Tom, one of the first things I did Wednesday morning after I found out the results of the election was to email President Trump himself, asking him to honor his campaign promise on 50-state reciprocity. It passed under Obama, and he vetoed it. And you got the same people in there now. Get it done before the end of the year.
My concern, and I think it's a reality, is that the Republicans have no stomach for that. I think the Republicans have no backbone, generally speaking. I've always said the Republicans don't know how to win, and they don't know how to be winners. Even when they win, when they are in power, they don't know how to just do what needs to be done. They're always trying to placate. They're always trying to be friends with the media, which hates them and whatever. They can't get it done. And then they get in there, and this is one of my great disappointments. The Republicans get in there, and they, not to impugn drunken sailors, but they spend money like drunken sailors. They put us further into debt after pledging fiscal responsibility. They spend more money than the Democrats do.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, in a lot of the local elections and some of the national elections and everything like that, it was seen that the Republicans that embraced Trump won despite their predictions that they wouldn't win.
Agree.
And
I agree with you.
They're not dumb people. They have to see this at some point.
Well, I love the line that says, they see the light when they feel the heat. And the only way they see the light is when we apply heat to them. And, we have to do that. Look, I appreciate the call. I'm running out of time here. I've got to hit this break. Somebody asked, well, how did Tester win in Montana? Really easy. There was a third-party candidate that took a couple of percentage points. That probably was enough. So that's how the Democrat won in Montana. Third-party candidates, generally speaking, strip votes away from Republicans, all the way back to Ross Perot. So if you want a Democrat elected, make sure you vote for a third-party candidate. This is kind of the way it works. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. I'm Tom Gresham. Be right back with more Gun Talk.
Built to perform in the harshest conditions, the Ruger American pistol can take it all, from ice to dust and everything in between. The Ruger American pistol features a short take-up trigger, Novak sights, and a recoil-reducing barrel cam with low-mass slide for reduced felt recoil. Plus, a modular grip system with 3 sizes to fit almost any hand. Check it out at Ruger.com. The Ruger American pistol, because anything else would be un-American.
For more than 70 years, Timney Triggers has been enhancing the shooter's experience. Whether it's a local competition, a day at the range, or even the hunt of a lifetime. Setting the standard in aftermarket triggers, Timney is now producing more than 170 models of triggers for bolt-action rifles, shotguns, AR rifles, and semi-automatic rifles. Proudly made in the USA since 1946. Find your new trigger at TimneyTriggers.com.
Want great deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gundealio app today. With Gundealio, you can search for deals, listen to the Gun Talk podcast, watch gun videos, read gun news, and get notifications right to your phone about deals and special offers. Save money on the products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gundealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
We're still talking about guns because, nobody can make us stop. I'm Tom Gresham. Handguns, rifles, shotguns, semi-autos, revolvers, single shots, I don't care. We'll talk about any of them. I like to shoot them all. What is it about shooting that's so much fun? I think part of it is that you never master it completely. There's always a way to get better at it. It's always a challenge. It's an individual, personal challenge. For the most part, shooting is not a team sport. There are a few, but for the most part, it's individual sport. It's really a competition between you and yourself. How do I get better? How do I do this? And there are always things to learn. I get to hang around with some of the coolest people, really good shooters, and learn some things. I was passing along something to people a week or so ago. We're talking about shooting at longer ranges with handguns. And I was explaining, assuming you're using iron sights, I said, what you don't want to be doing, and we're talking about shooting 200, 300 yards. What you really don't want to do, I think, is be aiming above the target. They go, what? Well, no, because consider this. Say you've got a steel gong out there at 300 yards. You're trying to hit it with a 45. If you're aiming above it, you can't see the target anymore. Where is it? What are you aiming at? Try this. Try the different way of going. Notice I said aiming, but you want to be pointing above it. The gun has to be pointing above it to allow for the trajectory, for the drop. Keep the front sight on the target so you can see the target. and then start dropping the rear sight so that you see more and more of the front sight poking up above the rear sight. So now you still have the front sight on the target, so you can adjust for windage. You know where you are there. And the more front sight you see, the higher it's going to shoot. And through that process, you will be able to walk it in and get it on target while still holding the front sight on the target and seeing the target, as opposed to just aiming on the side of a mountain or up in the air somewhere and hoping that it comes down and hits somewhere around there. It's a much more precise way of long-range shooting. You might give that a try. Let me know how it works out for you. Let's see. Line 1, Will is in Spokane, Washington. Will, you're up on Gun Talk.
Tom, thanks. I just wanted to thank you for all you did to try to help us to defeat 1639. And Tom, what defeated it was that the word is that half of the gun owners in the state of Washington didn't even vote. They didn't even vote. And I believe that the NRA did an extraordinary job of with both funding and everything else to try to stop it. But now we have it, and I'm wondering if you know any more of the details about its implementation. And also on the national level, the House that's one of their first orders of business is on gun control.
Oh, yeah, and what they want to do, to your point, is to pick up Initiative 1639 and I-1639 out of Washington State and drop it into the national level so that you'd have to be 21 to be able to buy any semi-automatic gun, maybe any gun at all. In Washington State, you're going to have to undergo special training to buy any semi-automatic firearm, pistol, rifle, squirrel gun, anything. You're going to have additional background checks, additional waiting periods. It gets ugly, and that's exactly what they want to do. They want to pick that up and drop it into the national front, and that's going to be happening. They're going to push that out of the House, and people say, well, it could never get through the Senate. Be careful. Be careful. I don't trust the will of the Republicans to stand up when people are saying, yes, but you have to do this for the children. There have been 64,000 mass shootings this week. No, you get this nonsense. And look, thank you for the call, sir. You get this nonsense of the media keeps saying, well, there have been 300 plus mass shootings this year. No, and no. The FBI keeps stats on active shooters, okay? They have for years. The FBI's stats are the gold standard on this. And what the FBI says is, on average, we get 11 to 12 per year. Imagine that. 11 to 12 per year, and yet the media is parroting this anti-gun funded website supposedly keeping track of mass shootings. And they're saying there's more than 300. Well, they're counting gang shootings. That's not what we call active shooter events. You can point it out to the media as much as you want, and they don't care. When I went to journalism school way back a million years ago at the University of Missouri, the oldest school of journalism in the world, I was told at that time, we were all told in our first class, there are 3 tenets of journalism. And those 3 tenets are accuracy, accuracy, and accuracy. I'm afraid now it's become advocacy, advocacy, and advocacy. They don't care what the facts are. They only want to use their platforms to push for what they think America should be, to change public policy. And if we can lie to make that happen, we're okay with that. I mean, Jim Acosta, CNN, just look at the look at me aspect of modern media. No longer reporters, they're just repeaters and showboats and actors. 866 Talk Gun. What are your range reports? What you been shooting? Let's go straight to the phones. Line 3, Jeff's with us out of LeGrand, Oregon. Hey, Jeff, are you at a gun show?
Yesterday, I was at the gun show.
Okay.
And in Nampa, Idaho, and I think you and I are of similar age, and I've been to 350 to 400 gun shows in my life.
Ooh.
I've never seen a gun go off or had anybody injured other than yesterday I caught a cold at the gun show. So that's the most hazardous thing I can tell you. But
You're shaking too many hands. That handshaking thing will get you.
So. Yeah, but I picked up a rifle that I think you'll really like. It's a Model 722 Remington in .222.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
And
that goes way back.
Yeah, it's perfect. And it's got 26-inch factory barrel. And my understanding is those came with a 1 in 14-inch twist and wouldn't stabilize bullets larger than 55 grains. Okay. And I was wondering if you knew if there was a 50 or 55 grain bullet that would be adequate for deer or antelope so I could let my granddaughter learn to hunt using that rifle.
I would think so. I would have to do a little poking around to find, I would be looking at probably first stop would be to find out, is there something from Barnes in their expanding copper bullets that might be the best bet to find a 50 or 55 grain bullet that would work for that.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I would, and you're going to the drill. You're going to have to hand load with a 222.
Yeah.
Okay. For those who don't, there are a lot of people out there going, no, he means 223. No, he means 222. This goes way back.
Yeah.
And Black Hills, the thing is, Black Hills, I don't think they load 222 ammo, and they don't sell bullets. I mean, I don't know who's loading 222 anymore. It's got to be pretty limited.
Hornady is loading 2 different loads. I don't know if either would be acceptable for deer-sized animals. And Federal Premium is loading 2, but they're varmint bullets only.
Right, and you want something that'll hold together. I mean, the 222, for those who don't know, when you go back 50-plus years, that was the prairie dog, and even more importantly, the groundhog cartridge for back east, Pennsylvania, New York, all of that. That was the hot ticket way back then. And the 722 Remington was a very cool rifle. I remember pretty sure we had one of those when I was growing up. I think Dad had one. I don't even remember shooting the 222. I just know that we had one. But that's a cool find. Do you mind if I ask what you ended up having to give for it?
The better question would be, what would I take for it? Yeah, I gave $500 for it. And it had a scope on it, and I had him keep the scope so we could make the deal.
That's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Well, you're going to have a ton of fun with that. Yeah, poke around. You'll be able to figure out which, and you know how to figure out which bullets are going to be good for deer. But I would probably start with Barnes. I don't know, Nosler may have a 22 caliber 50 or 55 grain bullet that would be deep enough penetrating to work for deer. But find one of those, and then, the deal, you're going to have to experiment to see which one's going to work best, because with that slower twist rate, the shape of the bullet's going to be a part of it. But great find and great range report from a gun store. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that call. That's always cool. Man, gun show finds. Have you ever found something very cool? You ever bought anything there? You're going, you won't believe what I found. I'd love to get those range reports. Things you have found at gun shows, or maybe even the ones you remember more, the ones you should have bought. And he said, yeah, I'll go back and get that one. And when you go back, it's not there anymore because somebody else jumped on it before you. Love to get your gun show stories. Simple as that. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. When we come back, it'll be all you. The open lines are ready for you.